Hi, I'm back again. And tonight I thought it would be interesting to talk about finances in the household. So my parents came over today. I made them, I want to say dinner, but it's really early, but too late for lunch. And we just started talking about Kevin Samuels. And one of the topics that came up was finances. So I asked my dad, I was like, Dad, what do you think the expectation should be now for um, well, for me specifically, if I was to be in a relationship, and he said 50-50. Um, yeah, I don't agree with that. And here's the thing. There are so many factors that need to be considered when you talk about finances in a relationship. Um, for me personally, I would prefer to have a man that makes more money than I do, which is not hard. And I'm not saying that like I don't do well, but I do all right. But I would like for a man to make more money than me, because me personally, with past experiences, men that were not as financially well off as I am struggled with it mentally, and I can't nurse that insecurity. That was something that they would have to fix themselves. But nonetheless, I think I'll say this. Originally, my dad taught me to take care of myself. My mother taught me to find a man that could take care of me. Um, Her ideals are kind of old fashioned with this day and age, but I think a lot of women still kind of expect that. And if they don't expect it, it would be their preference. But you really have to ask yourself, like, how realistic is that in this day and time? um, a man would really have to be very well off to be able to fully take care of a wife, kids, family, and everything that comes along with it, vacations, medical expenses, cars for the kids, etc. Um, and there are not that many that fit in that realm, especially now. And I'll speak for, um, I'll say 30 and up, even 35 and up. A lot of people in that age bracket, they already have kids. So if they are going to blend with somebody else, you have to factor in all of that too. And you have to do what makes the most sense for the situation. But yeah, I was kind of surprised when he said 50-50. And I don't think they would mind me saying that's not the situation in their household. She definitely does not contribute 50% to their household. So I thought that was kind of funny and ironic, even though I think he was very, very serious. But yeah, so I'd be curious to know, what are the things that people would consider when they're trying to figure that out. I know of a couple, this guy and this lady, they've been together for a very long time, over 5 years. They were scheduled to get married in May of this year, but they decided to postpone it because of COVID. Well, when they saw that it wasn't going away quickly, they decided they didn't want to continue to postpone it. They wanted to make arrangements for it um, the best way they could, considering the circumstances. And I don't know what happened, but apparently there was a conversation had, and she told him that, when she moves into the home with him, she expects him to take care of all the bills, and that her money was going to be her money. That didn't sit well with him at all, and he was really torn. He shared, he had conversations with some of his guy friends about it, and he's really torn because he really, really loved this girl, but he felt like, she has kids from a previous relationship. He has kids from a previous relationship. He's already providing the home that they will be living in. He just didn't think it would be fair for her to expect for him to continue to pay for everything. He wants her to contribute to the home. And apparently it's something that, you know, people encourage him to talk to her about it. Tell her exactly what he thought, how he felt about it. And he did. And she felt very strongly about, her opinion. she felt like, you know, he makes significantly more money than I do. He knows I have my kids, and yeah, he loves my kids like they're my own. But I try to do as much for my kids as possible, so he doesn't have to spend as much towards his kids. Plus, the father of her kids is paying child support. So, they're no longer getting married because they couldn't find a happy medium. And I found so many things so troubling about that scenario, because why did it take y'all? I mean, y'all were engaged, like had already set a wedding date. Why did that just become a conversation? You know what I'm saying? And the problem, I don't feel it's anonymous to that couple. I think it happens a lot. I can think of so many other scenarios similar to that, but you know, it's finances are really, really important, and it's definitely something that needs to be talked about, and I think it needs to be talked about sooner or later. I'm gonna give you another scenario. I work in sales. I've worked in sales for over 20 years now. As being a sales manager, analyzing credit applications, dealing with finance companies and things of that nature, trying to work out deals and stuff like that. And I cannot tell you how many times I have had a couple come in to apply for something, and they get, for lack of better words, gobsmacked by a scenario that was not expected. Delinquency on a debt. I've even seen where the person was a co-signer on a loan from a previous relationship that the new person was unaware of. Things of that nature. And I bring that up to say, how far do you dig to try to figure out where you're at with the person that you're with? You know what I'm saying? Because when you're dating somebody, it'd be kind of awkward to say, hey, can I get your social so I can run your credit? To see what's on your credit? Or, you know, but in this day and time, it's almost like it kind of like needs to be done. Like, you kind of need to share what's going on with your credit. And listen, nobody's perfect. There are a lot of people that have really great credit, and then there are a lot of people that don't. And some of them are easy fixes, and some of them might take a little bit of time. But I feel like it's better to put that all out there up front than to wait until it's crunch time and you're trying to figure out, like, oh my God, what do we do now? So, I don't know. It's just a thought. Like, what do you think? And honestly, I truly feel like it is something that people don't really talk about. They don't discuss. You know, they're into the excitement of building, but you know, you gotta be on the same page about building. I watched this video. The girl was, long story short, she went to college, got her doctorate degree. She had a job. She got a job making over 6 figures, but her college debt was $230,000. And she had run up credit card expenses to $200,000, and she was making like the low 6 figures, like 110 annually. And if you try to put together a payment plan to pay off over $400,000 in debt off of $110,000 a month, and you got to include your rent or mortgage, utilities, water, everything else that comes with that, maintenance, lawn care, food, clothes, all that stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's going to take a long time to pay it off. So, you know, you might be excited thinking, oh my God, I got this girl. She got a great job. She made the 6 figures. How do you find out about the debt? You know what I'm saying? And whether you like it or not, it's not something that can be ignored. Student loans do not go away. They don't go away. You can defer, but they're still going to be there. So, yeah, think about that. Another thing to consider is retirement. If one person has worked for years and the other one stayed at home, and then it's time to, figure out what your retirement is. Is the one person that's been working all these years, when they get their retirement pay, is that going to be enough to take care of everybody with that one amount? And you think, well, they've been doing it all this time, but yeah, your retirement pay is not always what your pay was when you're actually working. It's usually less, and unless you've done other things like maybe invested in stocks, bonds, etc. Other steps to financially plan for retirement, which a lot of people don't do. You're going to be restricted to that one form of income at retirement. So that's something to think about too. And these are the type of things that I was not taught. I wasn't taught that stuff. I remember when I went and got my first apartment, I didn't have the slightest clue what I was doing. My parents were living in Virginia. I had moved back to North Carolina. And I remember going looking at apartment communities, and I remember calling my dad, and I was like, how do I know like what I can afford? And for me, of course, now it's just super simple. But what I'm getting to is, my dad was like, Tanisha, how much is your check? I was like, I told him the amount. I can't remember the amount. Let's just say 1,000. And he was like, well, about 1,000 in 2 weeks. He was like, well, you need to be able to pay your rent and have money left over to the next check. So with one check. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't take 2 of your checks within a month to pay for the entire month's rent. And with that one check that you're using to pay your rent, you need to make sure you have enough money to cover like your gas, your lunch, whatever else you're gonna need to pay to do that. And then he was like, use the other check to pay for other things like car payment, light bill, water bill, whatever. And back then I didn't have no credit cards, I didn't have any of that, so it was very simple. That was my training. So I had to figure it out, but a lot of people share that. They're not taught that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think there definitely needs to be conversations had about finances. As uncomfortable as it can be, it can definitely make things much better and work much more smoothly in the long run if you have those conversations up front. But yeah, that's about all I have on that. I would love your feedback on the conversation, your viewpoints and your thoughts on it, if you want to expound on it. And it's nice chatting with you. Have a great evening.